Well, welcome everyone. Welcome. We are live today on CPS News Network. We are live on Facebook. We're live on my YouTube channel, which is Punish No More and Free to Protect. And we're also live today on Punished for Protecting News. Hello, my name is Francesca Amato, and I am the author and founder of Punished for Protecting Incorporated. And I'm also a national advocate. I have expert background in domestic violence, child abuse, and the Americans with Disability Act. We have some show today. And first and foremost, I want to thank Danny McGowan with CPS News Network for allowing me this split platform to bring out a very powerful story that we are telling with a very special guest, Megan Walsh. She is the daughter of John Walsh of Missing and Exploited Children. And when I tell you we have some show, we have some show. So thank you, Danny, for allowing this. And I also want to tell you a little bit about myself. If you don't know who I am, again, I am Francesca Amato. I am the author and founder of Punished for Protecting Incorporated. It is a 501c4 organization, nonprofit charity. And I started that. I started a foundation years ago, back in like 2007, called National Coalition for Family Court and CPS Reform, until I learned that this is not a reformable system. I want to see it abolished. And one of the things that Danny does frequently is he plays a video that I did in front of the New York State Assembly back in 2019. So this is, we're going on close to 15 years now, that I did talking to the New York State Assembly and letting them know just how bad and evil CPS and family court is, and how they are indeed the child trafficking industry. And today with Megan Walsh, we're going to be exposing more of that. I have other special guests today that I'm very excited about because unfortunately, even though we have a horrific political situation in our country and across the world, really, we do have some people that are real, genuine people. And I have become close friends with the people that are coming on today, including Megan Walsh, including Derek Gibson, who's running as a gubernatorial candidate for governor of the state of New York. And this is very important that we listen to what he has to say today and how he supports us that are very awake and realize what's happening within the horrific family court and CPS. Also, we have candidate Diane Sayer, who I've also become, who's also near and dear to my heart. She's running for U.S. Senator, and she also is very aware of what's happening. But you know what's really great about these people is that they're just real human beings with faith in God, and they actually care for humanity and what's happening in our country and everywhere. I mean, we see this war in Ukraine and just so much that's happening in our world. And you know, I've been saying we've been in war in America for eons, because what they're doing to families and the family court system, it's judges that make the orders that allow these CPS workers that are just incompetent to take people's children from good, safe, and loving homes and leave them in dangerous homes. Throughout the years, I became an expert also in the Americans with Disability Act, and I help families all over this nation in order to invoke their rights, which we will talk a little bit about today. I also wrote a best-selling book. It's Punished for Protecting the Injustice System of Family Court, so you may know me by this. Punished for Protecting the Injustice System of Family Court, where I talk about my own horrible case in which Judge McGinty, that I wrote this about, actually came back at me and went after me again at the end of October 2020. And thank the Lord above that all is well at this time. Thank you, God. But, you know, as a whistleblower, as a national advocate, and as somebody who exposes all this corruption, you know, they don't like it when we expose them. Let's face it, they don't like it. And so I realized that there is not anything that they are capable, that they are, there's not anything that they're not capable of doing to you as families. They don't care about you. They don't care about the children. This is a multi-trillion. And when I say multi-trillion dollar industry, organization. It's child trafficking, it's family trafficking, it's human trafficking. It is a horrific system. I thank Danny over and over again because he's daily out there with these live streams exposing, and we have to all do what we can do. Now, I'm not quite sure who's in the queue. I do know that right now we do have Diane Sayer and we do have Derek Gibson. I'm going to bring one of them out, and then later on, a little later on, she's actually finishing up on something. We're going to be bringing out Megan Walsh, and she's going to expose her father. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'll bring out Diane Sayer first. I see her first in the queue. So I think I'm going to go ahead and bring her out, and let's see if it says copy to clipboard. I'm not quite sure what that means, but she's already here in the queue. So let's see if I can. Okay, it says add you to stream. There we go. I think that should probably bring you out here on the board. And let's just make sure your sound is good and everything, and have you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody what we're doing and how we want your votes out there for her.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much. You can hear me okay? Does this sound good?
Yes, you're doing well.
Great. Okay. So yes, I am a LaRouche independent candidate for U.S. Senate running against Chuck Schumer in the November 2022 elections. I am a trained classical musician and worked with the late Lyndon LaRouche for 32 years. And one of the things I just want to say about the importance of what you're doing, Francesca, and I really want to thank you for having me on.
It's my pleasure to have you on.
And thanks. And drawing attention to this is that when you look at some of the crises unfolding in the world and the ease with which we launch wars, which kill and displace millions of people, we have to say, what is wrong with our political leaders? Why do they find it so easy to just create conditions where people cannot live and millions of innocent people, including children? And I think one of the reasons is that so many of them are caught up in degrading and debasing human life, such as the human trafficking networks and child pornography and things like this, where you actually destroy your moral fiber, and then you have no feeling. There's no emotional connection to seeing horrific crimes being committed against people.
It's very true. It's very true. And, you know, I was actually watching a live earlier this morning with if anybody has ever seen Trish. She's out there quite often talking about this up in near the Buffalo area. And, you know, she was saying she was feeling a little disheartened because we've been trumping this message for so long, and sometimes it feels like it lands on deaf ears. But we see like this major shaking in our country, you know, now with this war on Ukraine and so on and so forth. I mean, I really feel like it's already on our soil. It's really a dangerous time. I'm not one of those people that as soon as they say store up food and all this kind of stuff and the end of the world is coming in, I'm not one of those people. But I'm not saying the end is here either. I'm simply saying that I think this is a smart time to get a little wise and maybe store up a little bit, or just kind of be prepared, because you know, this is a very dangerous situation that's happening. I have a brother-in-law that is Ukrainian. He lives, they live, you know, he's been here for years, married to my sister for many, many years. He has saved up money, and he's actually working overtime to send money to some family that's there now. And it's way worse than what the news is reporting. Okay. Cause he's talking directly to them there. It's very alarming. And I personally feel I have to give hours of lessons that this is all tied into the child trafficking, family trafficking, people trafficking industry. Okay. This control, this, you know, forcing people to live in bondage, basically, to these types of, you know, just no freedom. I mean, God gave us free will, and we don't have free will when we're in this, when we're in this. So, you know, this is one of the reasons that I support you so much, Diane, and, you know, and I support Derek and really anybody that really genuinely cares about what's happening. I mean, I really wanted to have you on today too, because I wanted the audience to hear about the whole voting process and what is needed right now for you, and to learn more about what you're doing and some of your values and some of the other political points that you support and so on. and wanted to give you the floor so that you can explain to some people that maybe don't know who you are, or even those that are following you now and already in support of you.
Great. Well, thanks very much. I mean, first of all, let me just take two situations to get at what I'm talking about. One, Afghanistan, where you have the situation where more people are on the brink of dying from starvation than died at the hands of the Taliban or the US occupation over 20 years, or perhaps you can go back 40 years. What happened? We occupied the place after 9/11. We increased the NATO and the United States, a brilliant NATO deployment, like the insanity we're seeing right now in Europe. And what did we do? We increased the opium production 40-fold, destroyed basic infrastructure, put a regime in power, and propped them up with basically NATO, the US, whatever other agencies were covering about 75% of the budget of the government for that time. Then we say, and I think it was useful that it was negotiated, I guess, first by President Trump, then Biden came in, that we get out of there. We should have gotten out of there long ago. It was handled in a completely incompetent manner, it seems. And what did we do? We cut off all of the aid. So all of a sudden you leave, the regime that we were backing up has no backup. We cut off all the aid, and then that president tries to escape with a helicopter full of cash, or he leaves with a helicopter full of cash, showing how dedicated he is. And then we act surprised. Why wouldn't people fight for him? Why would they not risk their life for a guy who jumps on the first helicopter with all his cash and leaves the country? Well, I think it's obvious. So it was no surprise that the Taliban took over. Then we say, well, since the Taliban took over, let's cut off all their aid. Let's seize all their bank accounts, with the result that you have massive hyperinflation, 7 million children about to die of starvation, 23 million people threatened with starvation, 95% of the population food insecure. And all they are saying is, could you release the money that is the money of the Afghan central bank, 7 billion of which is in the New York Federal Reserve, and let us buy what we need? No, we did not do that. Biden arbitrarily took the money. He gave 3.5 billion to the 9/11 families. They did have a suit against Afghanistan, but I find it a little bit of a buyout, because what they really want is the truth. They want to know the role of the Saudis, for example. They've been trying to get at that for a long time. Anyone who's going to argue that the government of Saudi Arabia is more pro-human rights than the Taliban has a hard argument, in my opinion. So in a way, it's like a hush money to them. And then the other 3.5 billion is going through some kind of unknown relief. So basically, Biden in a single swoop steals and disperses at his own discretion this money. People who have been in Afghanistan, a German from UNICEF said that 1 million children are in such a condition that they would be in an intensive care unit in Germany. They're just going to die. In fact, that was 3 weeks ago. Those children probably have died. So this is a horror. And you say, as an American, how can we participate in this? And something as basic as food, I mean, that doesn't require rocket science, right? Similarly, Yemen. Now, because of the sanctions announced on Russia's oil, we're going to go to Saudi Arabia to get more oil. And by the way, Russia only supplies 3% of our oil. So this whole thing about that being the cause of the hyperinflation is a lie. That is not the cause. The hyperinflation was planned long ago because of various other reasons. At any rate, so now we're going to go to the Saudis, who are bombing Yemen. According to David Beasley, the former Republican governor of South Carolina, who's the head of the World Food Program, 9 million children are about to die of starvation in Yemen. And we are continuing that war. So you say, where is the morality? Now, I want to just say on this Ukraine situation, because I have to, and I think you really see the satanic evil of the United States and NATO and the British in particular. Because Putin has been very clear for many years that the United States lied. James Baker III told Gorbachev in 1990 that NATO would not expand. And there are many witnesses who have come forward to say that. NATO, nonetheless, has added about 14 nations since then. Now, people who are old enough might remember the Cuban Missiles Crisis when Kennedy was president, that unless you have the actual laser defense that Reagan adopted from LaRouche, nuclear deterrence depends on your ability to launch a second strike. So you never want to have nuclear missiles up on the other guy's border. It ruins the balance. It creates a danger of nuclear war. So Kennedy thought it was worth risking nuclear war to stop the Soviets from putting missiles in Cuba. Well, we seem to have completely disregarded that and gone ahead to do this with Ukraine in a giant provocation of Russia, something that Putin already said was a red line. But also, the press is not discussing is what the Obama-Biden administration did in 2013 and 2014. Oh,
no, go ahead. I was pointing at you, but realized my finger goes there.
Oh.
But I'm agreeing with what you're saying. It's so infuriating because he's blaming the war.
They overthrew the government of Ukraine with $5 billion from the National Endowment for Democracy, from George Soros. And you had Victoria Nuland, who's still in there. I think she's the head of political secretary of state, something or other. And I must say she's gained a lot of weight. I think supporting illegal activity and lying may be bad for your health. But anyway, what did we do? We overthrew Yanukovych and we put in people who literally were supporters of Stepan Bandera, the collaborator of Adolf Hitler. In Ukraine now, they have torchlight rallies. You can find it on Google. Don't take my word for it. Maybe they'll take them all down. But where hundreds of thousands of people with torches march behind photographs of a guy who killed thousands of Jews and Poles and Russians. And this faction of Nazi sympathizers, and they have parties, the Svoboda Party, the Azov Battalion, which literally people carry swastikas around, became part of the political regime to such an extent that in May of 2014, where there were people, Russian-speaking people in Odessa protesting the coup, the Azov Battalion and group herded them into a labor union building, boarded the doors and windows, set the building on fire, burned people to death, and if they tried to jump out the windows, they shot them. That's what Obama and Biden were supporting in Ukraine. That was why Crimea voted to leave Ukraine and return to the Russian Federation. They were majority Russian.
You know, I'm so, not to interrupt you, but I'm so glad to hear you say this, because it really, it upsets me, because I see our own patriots, the people that, basically believe and stand for what we stand for. They're falsely believing that this is happening to free Ukraine. And I'm like, no, like, I mean, children are being murdered in the streets right now. They're being separated from their families. The Obama and Biden administration, they have separated. We talk about the amount of children that have been separated in America through the family court and CPS, but now with this whole border situation, and now children are being separated. This is what their goal is to separate them from their biological families, and this is
destroy them. Look, the U.S. announced it. The White House had a press conference, and they don't say the names, but it's on the White House website, January 25th, whitehouse.gov. Quote, the goal is to hit Putin's strategic ambitions to industrialize his economy. We're talking about denying to Russia downstream products. So what's the goal? The goal is the destruction of Russia. Putin's not paranoid. The White House said it. And Biden and company are perfectly happy to sacrifice the life of every last Ukrainian to target Russia. On this Nazi question, I mean, it's a really big deal, because then you had these two other enclaves in the Donbass region, Donetsk and Luhansk. The Minsk process was that the Ukrainian army, now infested with these Nazi elements, has been shelling these regions for 8 years. They've killed 14,000 people in this area over 8 years. So they were trying to get an accord whereby these regions could get some autonomy, still part of Ukraine, but protected. The Kiev regime refused to stop the shelling. So they declared their independence. Putin then recognized them as a way of, and the other thing Putin said is that the red lines were Ukraine joining NATO, Ukraine getting nuclear weapons, and ethnic cleansing, killing 500,000 or more people in the eastern part of Ukraine, that he would never countenance this. Now, all of this is blacked out of the US press. We hear that Vladimir Putin is Adolf Hitler and he's launching Operation Barbarossa into Ukraine. It's the exact opposite. But meanwhile, look, I'm not a military genius, but I know for certain that if Russia wanted to wipe out Ukraine, they could do it in about 5 seconds. Ukraine is not going to win a war against Russia. If they would like to live in peace, they should agree to be a neutral state. Crimea is going to have to be recognized as what they voted for, part of the Russian Federation. Now these republics will have to be recognized, but the rest of Ukraine can be neutral and safe. And Putin has said they would leave, Russia would leave. Well, does Biden want that? Oh, no, keep fighting. Let's send weapons. Let's send planes. Let's jam them. For what? So you can increase the death, increase the misery, destroy the place, level it. And they're just using people just as surely as they used Gaddafi, who agreed to not have nuclear weapons and was abiding by that. And what does he get for that? He gets overthrown, he gets brutally murdered, dragged through the streets, and Libya is destroyed in a dysfunctional state. And so Zelensky should take that as a message. And I think Zelensky actually came in, he's Jewish, which is why people say, oh, how could they be Nazi? And his first language, I guess, was Russian. He won with 70% of the vote because people wanted peace. And they hoped that he would go with the Minsk Accords and get peace between the eastern and western parts of Ukraine. But then he got terrorized by the Azov battalion. When he went to a Minsk Accord meeting, they organized a protest of 10,000 people in Kiev. Then when he had one of his representatives speaking at a conference where they merely wanted to give people in Donetsk and Luhansk the right to vote on whether they wanted to speak Russian or not, his representative was pushed off the podium onto the floor. I mean, physically assaulted. So it's a hideous dynamic, but you have to say, who would want to prolong this war by sending in all of these weapons and just have people keep getting slaughtered? And I think what we urgently need, and my big concern is the question of the morality of the West, the Great West, right, who were supposedly so much for human rights and democracy and all of this stuff. Can we organize a conference of nations to end this, to create a new security architecture? NATO is frankly obsolete. We need something that allows every nation's security concerns to be respected, that does not insist on immiserating and impoverishing people. And I think the key is to who's really behind this is this group of, trillionaire bankers, the World Economic Forum, you can call it the Great Reset or whatever, who have another agenda. They're trying to save a totally bankrupt financial system with hyperinflation, shutting down fossil fuels, depopulation. It won't work. They can never save the system, but they can do an enormous amount of damage, including the annihilation of the human species. So that's really why I decided to run against Schumer, because Schumer is the spokesman and enforcer of this policy. He is Wall Street. He is war. He never met a war he didn't support. He's voted for every sanction in the universe, which, as everyone should know, only hurts poor people, doesn't affect there may be a legitimate reason to have sanctions on a corporation or on something, but when you sanction an entire government, you're just throwing people into misery. It's an act of war. So that's what I had to say. I hope I didn't go on too long.
No, thank you so much. And you're getting a lot of people, saying exactly, Diane, and so on, and how sad it is. And I see one here that says, this is obviously regarding the family court too. This is not incompetence by the people who work for the family courts. They know exactly what they're doing, and I agree with you. And also, Keith Harvey said, George Soros, that's how. And George Soros, that's how. It's just the mere words is music to my ears when you say that you're running against Schumer. It's just like I can see the confetti, But tell everybody what we need right now, because did they not increase the amount of
Oh yeah. They are so terrified of independent voices. And when Derek comes on, he'll be saying something similar, because the parties are totally rigged. Everyone knows that. I mean, you remember what happened with Hillary Clinton's emails, and all we heard about the alleged Russian hack, which was never proven, but they never denied her emails were wrong. And she basically stole the nomination from Bernie Sanders. And then she said Tulsi Gabbard was a Russian agent and so on. But at any rate, so they have a fix. So what happened in New York is they created conditions. They want to give out $100 million of taxpayer money in matching funds. That's for state candidates. I'm a federal candidate. I'm not even eligible for matching funds anyway. But they said, look, since we're going to hand out all this money, we don't want people that we don't control to get that money. We only want the main Democrat and the main Republican to get that money. And therefore, we're going to make it impossible for anyone else to get on the ballot. So New York used to be one of the hardest states already. It was 15,000 signatures of registered voters in only 6 weeks. To give you a sense, other states may have high signature requirements, but you can start whenever you want. You can start 6 months before. So you just have to meet the deadline. In New York, they say, no, you're not allowed to start until X date, and you have to be done in 6 weeks. 15,000 signatures. Well, now, if you are not with the Democrat or Republican Party, it's 45,000 signatures.
This is what they just did, and they did already pass that, right? That's
yeah, it was in the budget.
It's unbelievable. It's cringeworthy. It's unbelievable. I mean, yeah. So
it is. And with that, what people don't realize is they also, the minor parties like Libertarian, Green Party, Serve America Party, and I shouldn't say minor because they're significant. They have organization in every county. They are a voice for people. Well, they said you can't have a party on the ballot. Used to be 50,000 votes statewide every 4 years. They changed it to 2% or 130,000 votes. So they also succeeded in throwing those three parties off the ballot. So they're going to have every man, woman, dog, all of your deceased ancestors and everybody, you can imagine can vote multiple times at any unattended drop box anywhere in the universe. But there will be no one on the ballot. The ballot will be totally controlled. You're muted, Francesca.
And it's controlled as it is, this is just making it heavier and harder. And I really want to just let everybody know, please, think about what she's saying. And, you've gotten a little taste of Diane today. Maybe you already follow, her. And I just want to say, please think about it when you vote, to get her, on the ballot. We need her on the ballot. Okay. We need a human being. We need human beings, and there's very few left. I talk about this a lot in the work that I do. And you may not agree with every single aspect of the points of what she's talking about, but I know that you can relate to and agree with a very high percentage. We'll put it that way. I personally do. But I mean, if you really want to see some of this nightmare end, we have to get people into these positions, to do whatever we can to stop what's happening. I like to be an encourager. I like to be a cheerleader. Part of my job is to work with very traumatic situations. I've been through my own traumas. and to help people make it through and get through their own personal pain and suffering through the system, through the family court and CPS and all that nonsense. And that's why I did so much research on the Americans with Disability Act, because it's causing ongoing trauma, ongoing pain and suffering. And but I have to say, I'm at a point right now where we really, really need to understand that we are in very dangerous times. You know, I'm not a negative person. I don't speak negative. I believe, I have faith in God, and we really have to keep our focus on him first. Okay. First before anything, especially now. And with saying that, though, be wise. I mean, and one of the things the Bible says is be wise as a serpent. You know, be wise, be not ignorant of the enemy's devices. We have to know what's going on in order to conquer and to fight and to protect our own. And also by protecting each other, we're protecting our own. So, you know, Diane is, you know, she's an awesome human being, an awesome person, really knows what she's talking about. I mean, she's not reading off of any, you know, cards here. She doesn't have a teleprompter in front of her. She knows, she's researched, her whole heart and soul is in this. And so please consider, you know, helping getting her on that ballot. We need her. We really need her. Diane, I really appreciate having you on today. And I'm so thankful for all that you do. Can you tell them anything that possibly, any way they can maybe donate, or just anything that at all while you're still?
Please visit my website. It's sareforsenate.com, and it's spelled just like SARE and the word for, not the number, SAREFOR Senate.com. Please visit. You can sign up to volunteer. You can donate. If you're a New York registered voter, we need you. The petitioning starts April 19th for independent candidates. And I think I need about 500 volunteers to do it, of which we have a few hundred so far, but more would help.
That's awesome. And I am new to this right now. We're beaming off of several networks right now: CPS News Network, Punished for Protecting News Network, Facebook, and YouTube. Punished. It's actually Punish No More and Free to Protect, which is Punished for Protecting Incorporated on YouTube, and several other I guess public Facebook pages and so on right now. And so forgive me, like I said, I'm new to this type of StreamYarding. So I wasn't able to put the website on there. I don't know if anybody would be so gracious in comments maybe to put that. Sayer, SARE for Senate. Is that correct? Did I have that right? I just don't want to, where you can go ahead and check that out, and maybe help out with even some donations, and help, you know, get a hold of Diane, maybe help, you know, get those ballots going. I'm sure you have teams of people, or maybe you know, more volunteers.
Yeah.
But if somebody can put that in comments on the different networks that you're looking at this on, I would really greatly appreciate that. Diane, thank you so much for being here today. And I'm excited to see a good future, and hopefully we have you right in office where we need you. So
great.
Thank you again, Diane. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to bring in Derek Gibson. I can figure this out. Sorry. He should be joining us shortly here. And I do believe we have him here. And This is a gubernatorial candidate for governor of the state of New York, Derek Gibson. And Derek knows a lot actually about the family court and the CPS situation. We have bent his ear for hours on end many times. He's talked to many parents with regards to what's happening in this horrific system, spoken out about it a lot as well. Joined us at many events as well. So has Diane, as a matter of fact. Derek, we need to get Derek with the same thing is happening to you right now too. They've increased the votes, have they not, for the ballot, I think, or for New York, or is it still 15,000?
No, they haven't, but thank God.
Oh, they didn't. They didn't for New York. Okay, just for the U.S. senator. But Derek, I would like you to just kind of take the stage and let us know what's going on and what's on your heart today. And
thank God for allowing me to be here today. I am honored with your request to have me on. I see my friend Diane Sayer is on. I love her. We've been a lot of rallies together, traveling around the state of New York, and she's 100 authentic, and she's exactly who we need to defeat Chuck Schumer. a person's person. I love her. I will be helping, my team will be helping her get these signatures also. They can increase all they want to. The people that are signing for me, I'm gathering signatures now. I have to have about 15,000. I'm letting people know about her because hers is going to start April the 19th. And we'll be joining forces to help out. Yes, I'm a candidate for New York State governor. I'm a Republican candidate. And the establishment, as we know, they do their thing. But I'm looking to turn that around and form the GOP of New York State as a strengthening system that includes all. The 15,000 signatures we have to gather. We have 45 days to do that, and about 2 weeks is gone. So I need everybody around the state of New York to go on the line, print the form off, or either send me an email at Gibson, the number for governor at protonmail.com, and I send you a form over with my information on it, and you can gather those signatures so I can be on the ballot. We have a primary. Now, to talk about the child trafficking, which I call ACS, and the other institution family court that is going on, is totally corrupt, is upside down. When Mayor Giuliani started it in the city of New York, it was a good thing and it was needed, but it has been abused and taken somewhere else. Child trafficking, I know from experience, is going on in a lot of our systems. I spoke to a young lady that works for ACS, and she told me that's exactly what is happening, and she was afraid. But she's been working for this system for about 3 years. I mean, it's wild what's going on, and we must change it. So I am that gubernatorial candidate that has been to court. I have been speaking to the people, sitting in the courtroom with victims of family court and so forth and so on when it comes to their children. They're not getting just treatment. Judges are allowed to just overrun the parents, pick what parents the kids can go with, cut the parents. As you know, the family is the foundation of our country, and without that, it collapsed, and we see it collapsing before our eyes. So what I want to do as governor, I would dismantle ACS and a lot of more of the other agents that is married to that particular system, and I would bring a civilian control committee in, and we would form a city by city, maybe town by town. It wouldn't be an ACS agency, but it will be something similar to that to protect our children on a fair basis and hear the complete thing out, what is going on, and not just make random decisions. Like I said, when I first opened up, kids are being trafficked. We all know that, and those system is not good for our kids at all. They need to go back to the community. There are a lot of things I want to do in the state of New York. My platform was stolen from me. I had a GOP member steal my platform and gave it to someone else. And it's okay that they stole my platform. They didn't give me any credit for it, because these things need to be done in the state of New York. I need everyone, once again, to gather signatures. Reach out to me, DM me. My email is out there, my direct phone number, and I'll send you over the phone. We must get these signatures to get on the ballot to bring sanity back for New York State, to protect our children.
That might be the logo. Make New York sane again.
Right. Most definitely. But these things
If there's anybody though in comments, if you don't mind, Derek, if you can go very, very slow and just give those emails slowly, and then if anybody in comments on any of these live streams could kindly put that in comments for people to receive it. Could you say that again, like how they can help you with the ballot and so on?
So it's Gibson, Gibson, the number 4, Governor, GOVERNOR at protonmail.com. You can reach me that way, or you can reach me by text at 718-414-9301, and I'll send that information over to you. Build those teams. Let's get the signatures on. Let's get on the ballot and bring New York back to its greatness, which it once was.
And I want to emphasize this, if you don't mind. I really endorse these two candidates. That's why they're here today. And I really, being, I do this nationally, but being in New York specifically, and both of them are in New York, but I really endorse Derek, and I could work closely with Derek with what's actually happening, the false statistics, the real statistics, what's actually happening. I mean, you know, when I tell you I'm an expert in domestic violence and child abuse and what's happening in the Americans with Disability Act and so on and so forth, you know, really what I'm an expert in is the fact that I know every door, creek, and crevice of this horrific system. I know everything that they're going to do before they do it. I can finish their sentences because I have had eyes on this and every single angle. I have felt it. I have lived it. I have helped people come out of the gutter with their children to protect their kids. So, I mean, when passionate about this isn't even a word for me. Like, it's passionate on steroids. So having Derek come in as governor, and I am working very hard right now to get the funding we need. That's why, you know, purchase my books, get some donations into us, do whatever you can do to help us, because I think they estimated me to have like 270,000 of free workout every single year. You know, I've literally lost a salary to do this. It's God that provides for me, literally, but week by week. It's a faith walk. And to have somebody, you know, like Derek as our governor,
Where did my volume go at?
strain. You're still there. You're still there, Derek.
My volume went out when the call came through.
Oh, okay. He's still there.
It's over. I ended, but I can't hear.
You can't hear? You want to get out and come back in?
Now you go to another.
Let's see what you can do.
Wow.
We'll wait
That's
on him, and I
crazy.
want to finish this thought. I'm working to open a holistic family center to help to take over and abolish family court, CPS, and all of that, whereby people would make their own decisions. Okay, not the decisions of these crazy people that make decisions for families and endanger children. We can see you. We can hear you. I just don't think he can hear us. Should we have him get out and come back in? Maybe we should have him get out and come back in.
Man.
What the heck? See, they're doing cell phones.
I'm about to go out and come back in.
Yeah, I know. Text him.
I'm texting him. Sorry, guys. But I would help
I'm waiting to do that. Wayne chat.
Implement all of what he wants to do as governor of New York. And guys, there are other people that are being endorsed right now.
Oh, somebody called in, the voice just go away.
Verbiage, but I can tell you that they're not going to do what they're claiming that they're going to do, like Derek would do. And I think what we're going to do is take Derek out and put him back in. Let's try that. I don't know if we can do that. If I kick him, I'm afraid he's not going to be able to come back in. So let's maybe remove him and then bring him back in and see if this works. Okay, Derek, I removed you and brought you back in. Is that working? Oh, he's out. Let's see if we can bring him back in. Okay, he's not here. So we'll just give him a minute to come back in, and then we're going to be having Megan Walsh on. So let's give Derek a minute to get back in this queue. And okay, he said he's coming back in. So let's just bear with us. And I'm sorry for that, everybody. Sorry for that. I guess he got a phone call and it cut him off. So we're going to finish up with Derek, and then we're going to be bringing our guest, Megan Walsh, in. So here comes Derek. So Derek, I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, I got a phone call. Why cut the
I hate when that happens.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm back, and I'm very interested in children are our future, and I'm very interested, unlike other establishment candidates, in doing something about that. That's number one on my agenda. It's right there with crime. They both are a crime. So that's number one on my agenda. First week, Governor, I would dive right into that. We'll make something happen on that. And I signed executive order to dissolve these departments right away and make a move in the other direction. Something now as a candidate, and I come out with it soon. I don't put too many policies out because, like I said, my platform got stolen from the beginning. The guy was for 2 years this congressperson stole my platform, so I don't put too much out. Now they say never cast pearls in front of swine. So I learned that one. But I'm gonna read a little bit off my platform. My platform: I'm pro Second Amendment, equal justice for all, law enforcement, pro law enforcement, voter ID legislation, protect constitutional rights, school choice, religious liberty, pro life, pro business, medical freedom, extra tax and term limits. This is something that must be done in the state of New York. We must bring back recall. We don't have recall, so we can get rid of these leaders. I will fight to bring that back the first week also. So I'm glad you are here today. You are watching in, and I do need your help getting these signature tools. If you can reach out to me very soon, I would appreciate get these signature tools and move forward. I'm having a rally where on 18th St. Patrick's Day, 18th, I'll be in at 1 o'clock in time. So we have some great speakers, a couple of NFL players, and other people will be speaking. So I would love to see you come out. I'll be getting signal tools at that also. But yeah, I am here. My issue was about child trafficking going on in family court, which is ridiculous. Judges have that immunity that you can't sue, you can't do this or that. That need to be removed so you can hold these judges accountable for their misdeeds. That's something that has got to come to the state of New York, and I will fight to have these things done. I know it's some people looking and say, well, that's the establishment, it's going to be hard. No, nothing is hard. If you got God on your side, nothing is hard. Just be brave enough to go out there and put
That's
it
right.
and do what you know is right, and that's what I intend to do.
You know, that's one of the things, as you know, I've like feel like I bang my head against the wall sometimes because for example, in California, you can recall a judge, but in New York, they have this like, it's the language. It's hard to even explain it. And they have these blocks put in place basically. So these demons just sit there and keep making these horrible, horrible decisions. And then these attorneys and so on and so forth and CPS and all this. And I mean, everybody knows there's not a person, you could have your brain taken out of your head. Everybody knows that this system is completely wrong, that there's nothing stable about it. There's nothing responsible about it. There's nothing sane about it. They're not making decisions that are helpful to families in any way, shape, or form. They're not making decisions that are, first of all, nobody should be controlled and told what to do in a piece of paper, in an order. Okay, that's just bizarre. And it's abnormal that we've allowed it to get to where it's gotten. And now that it's here, and then I'll even have people tell me, well, there's endangered children and there's abused children. What would we do? They're endangering them and they're abusing them. I mean, that's just ridiculousness.
And
so we have to be able
to the community and go back to the environment of the religious institutions, maybe mix along with non-religious institutions. So these kids can and will be protected. The state is harming these kids. All they're doing is causing harm to what the rulings that these judges are making. It makes absolutely no sense. And it's breaking the family, it's tearing the family down. And the state is like saying, these are my children, so I know what's best for them. They're taking this decision from the parents or whatever. They don't want you to discipline the kids. They want to turn your kids into whatever trans best type or whatever they demonic mind thinks is okay. This is what they are being groomed in the system to become all these wicked things to keep their agenda going. And I'm fed up with it. I'm tired of it, and we must tear it down. And we must come together as well. Establishment is not going to do it. People that's already been there, they haven't did it by now. They're not going to keep electing people. The empty suits with pocket cash, which I called it. Yeah, they got a name. Yeah, they got family names. Yeah, they've been in Congress or whatever. They are empty suits. You had power. Why didn't you use it then? You've been in the state Senate. Why didn't you use it then? So you hear all this talk continue to go on from these candidates, but it does absolutely nothing. Let actions speak instead of words. Sound went out again. Right. Wow. I think it went out on her end. This is why I need to be on the computer. Yeah. Right. The only time I did it was at rally. Right. I don't know where they can read that or not, but I just put that up.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, I can hear again.
Thank you. Keep going, Derek.
Yeah, but I'm stern, and what I say, I'm not just a person that talk. I'm a person that do action. Like I said, I attend court with many of these parents, helping them fight and give them. As you know, I'm a criminal justice student, so I mean a criminal justice major. So I give them the information that I'm allowed to give them. I was going to take the state border, but they say I had to be vaccinated, and I'm not going to get vaccinated. I'm not going to get gene therapy because it's not a vaccination. So I was unable to take the state bar, which I have absolutely no problem with. I'm not going to sacrifice the autonomy of my body for no one. So I want to become an attorney, but from looking at attorneys, when we elect attorneys, they make more laws, they make more rules. So basically, I need to stay where I'm at and fight the system with your help to change things around. I'm a common man. I'm a businessman. I'm an automotive mechanic. I rebuild transmission for a living. I own several transmission repair shop, and I still rebuild transmission to this day part time. So I'm here for you. I'm here to help you in any way I can. But now I need your help. I need your help to get these signatures. Is very important. We got about 4 more weeks to go, and I need your help to get these signatures. I believe I get on the ballot, I can landslide New York State. With the other candidates, I don't think that we have a chance to win the governor's seat. Just being honest, the environment is not right for them. I like those guys, most of them that is running, but the environment is just not right for them. They're not going to win the city of New York, which you have to in order to win the governorship. And I'm able to do just that. Democrats will go in November if I get on the ballot. They even will go and vote for me. The ones that understand where I come from, I talk to them, and they agree with my platform because they know it's fair, it's reasonable, and it's America first. So in November, if I get on the ballot in July in the primary, I'll be able to win this thing by a landslide. Yeah, we'll upset the GOP. Exactly what I want to do. I want them crawling on their belly to me, reaching out and asking me, because the good old boys club have to be broken down. It's not beneficial for the people. They are governing for the millionaires and the billionaires. So it's time for the people voices to be heard. It's time for the people to govern. It's time to cut the New York State government back to what it was designed to do in the entire nation. Matter of fact, the government was designed for courts and military and police. Now we're in people's bedrooms. We're everywhere that we have absolutely no business in. We're tearing the families up by snatching children for saying disciplining them or whatever. They're breaking the family up. It has no place. Our liberty has been taken away from us, and I'm here to give all of that back. New York State Constitution don't even have a right for life in it, and I've been pushed to have a constitutional amendment done so we had a right to life, because the next Constitutional Congress in New York State is 2027, and maybe we can get the right to life put in. Now, I am pro-life, which the GOP told me not to say, but I don't seek office being deceitful. I seek office being authentic. I want the people to know exactly what they are getting.
Amen. That's awesome. And I'm pro-life also. So if you, I mean, I don't know if you know, my logo from when I first began is a child's first home is the mother's womb. Hello. Like,
Right.
it doesn't get any more pro-life than that. You know,
Amen.
and it
And I
makes
want to say,
everybody think, you know.
I want to say something else. Y'all was talking about Ukraine. Yeah, it was ignorance for Joe Biden and NATO not to make a move from the beginning to keep Russia from invading. Which, if you go back and look at RT News, 2 months ago, I said exactly what they need to do. They should have put troops down. NATO should have put military hardware there, and that would discourage Russia from going into that country, killing those people.
That's
It's
right.
all about population control and other things, but me myself, our borders are wide open. We're not running to protect our borders, but we want to vote millions around our way. And then they passed the thing with 14 billion going to Ukraine, and our people are suffering here in America, especially in the state of New York. This is nonsense, people. We cannot keep electing these corrupt politicians. They are draining our treasury, our borders open. We're taking other people's citizens. This has got to end. Kids are being trafficked through the southern border all the way up to single huts in New York and going all the way up into Canada. I noticed
That's
because
right.
I worked on a couple of
That's
that
right.
trafficking
Mhm.
cases. So this is real. Como was involved in it. People don't
That's
want
right.
a lot of
That's
stuff
right.
out that need to be covered will go to jail under my administration for this debacle for the
That's
nursing
right.
home patients. He will be put in jail.
Amen.
I referred this guy to the Justice Department, which they did out. And I was the person that referred him to the Justice Department. So we need people that are going to uphold the rule of law, regardless whether you're the governor or you're the man on the street. It makes absolutely no sense what is going on. We are government, and we are letting the rule of law apply differently for skin color, and it makes no sense. I'm fed up as a black man. I'm tired of the, excuse my French, the bullshit that's being
All
pushed
the
out
division.
between to make whites and blacks hate each other, to be lenient on black people that commit crime, and they commit the most of the crime. Only 12%, 8% of the population commit most. We have to be fair. We have to be honest. And wherever the problem is, we need to fix it regardless of skin color. And I'm here to do just that.
We just have to be human again. And the bottom line is we took God out of everything. And people hear that as cliche. Okay. But I think that now with all this shaking in the world, people are starting to realize that that's not cliche. You know, I hear people say that they're preaching a watered down gospel, but they don't even know what's watered down because they don't even read the scriptures. And I've learned most of these pastors don't teach it. They believe they're pastors at the pulpit. They don't open the word themselves and read it themselves. Okay. And I've learned recently, I forget the guy's name, but he was saying that every time they copyright a Bible. So think about this. If the Bible is very clear and it says, do not change my word or a curse will fall upon you. Do not change my word. That his word is above his name. Okay. The word is holy. It's pure. It's right. So if it says, do not change my word or a curse will fall upon you. Okay. And yet this gentleman did amazing amount of research. And he said that every time they copyright a new version of the Bible, now, first of all, a new version, it changes the words. They have to change at least 200 words. Okay. Now that means that interpretation gets changed. That means that God's plumb line, his standard gets changed. And we move ever so slightly and ever so slightly and ever so slightly. Before we know it, we are in sin. We are not in his truth. We are now in sin. And we're going, hallelujah, praise the Lord. We're in sin. Let's bless this and let's bless that. But he's not blessing these things. And it doesn't mean that the Bible also says that there's no condemnation for those that are in him. But we have to get with the word because we're supposed to go according to his word. And if they're changing up to 200 words in the Bible to copyright a new version, okay, so like the original text is what you want to know and understand, or that's why there'd be no confusion, okay? And people wouldn't have to, Christian against Christian wouldn't have to say, that's what this means. No, that's what this means. You know what it means. It's supposed to be a simple enough for a 5-year-old to understand. And we would be blessed as a nation and a globe. We would be blessed. So I really have to say, above anything that we do, especially if you're going to put a name tag and call yourself a Christian, above anything that we do, and I can't emphasize this enough, and I think I've been trumping this for about a year, please, please, please go back to the basics, go back to the Lord, go back to the word of God. And do what he says. Don't just read it. Don't be hypocritical. Don't say you believe, because the devil believes too. Okay. The devil knows God is real. So you can say you believe, but do you live the word of God? And when we do, we're going to see major change. And this is something that I'm going to be doing, Derek, on March 31st. I'm teaching a class. It's going to be 4 classes on Zoom for free. If anybody wants these classes, it's completely biblically based. And it's going to show everybody. I believe that what it will do is it will lead people to the proper place of repentance, especially if you're going through family court and CPS or any kind of corruption. If you've been harmed somewhere, okay, and we bring ourselves to the proper place of genuine repentance, God's favor and protection can come back on us individually and corporately, okay? And then we can start to, in other words, we can fight this until the cows come home. But if we don't have God's hand on us and God's protection on us and God's blessing on us, we're fighting in vain. Okay.
And this problem started. We kicked God out of all of our institutions. So this is where the problem started, and it brought a curse upon our nation, and especially aborting these 6 to 8 million babies we done aborted. And this is why our borders is open. God said, okay, I just sent all these people over here. I mean, we have left God. We have left his order. And this is why are lost. If you're driving down the road 55 mile per hour, turn that steering wheel loose, say, okay, I'm gonna just let it drive itself. What you think about? They're gonna go off the road, and it's the same with the Bible. When you get out of that Bible,
It's
leave
perfectly said.
instruction, that means you're gonna hit every hill, every mountain, every rock. You're gonna stumble all over the place. So this is
Right.
what we got to do: bring the Bible back, bring it back in our schools, bring it back in our institution. This
Amen.
founded on
Bring it
our
back in our churches.
values.
How about our churches? Bring the
Right,
Bible back in our churches. Let's
right,
start
right,
there.
right. It was on Christian
Let's actually preach the word of God
values.
in our churches. How about that's a novel idea?
Right, right,
Like, I mean, when the poor come in and it says the poor will always be among you, why are they sending them to the government for handouts and food
right,
stamps?
right,
Hello? Because
right.
we've strayed. And so there's a, and whenever I say anything like this, I'm looking at me, number one. I'm always going to look. I've done stupid so many times it's not even funny.
Well,
We've all sinned and fallen short. So I'm not pointing at anybody but myself. But like, I really feel like we have to have a heart change. I mean, there's a lot of people I've been talking to lately. They're like, I'm feeling depressed and I don't even know why.
mhm,
And I think it's because it's like the Lord, it's like he feels not that he's depressed, but like there's a grieving that we should be feeling for one another and we should be feeling for ourselves and we should be feeling because we're not on target. And sin is when you miss the mark. And if we continue to keep missing the mark, this is, like I said, I can know everything there is to know about all this stuff and be an expert in so many things, but we can keep beating a dead horse and not getting where we need to go because we're
correct,
missing the primary person right here. We're missing God and we're missing his rules, his regulations, and his standards. And that's how he's going to give us the favor and protection we need. And we desperately need God back. We desperately need God back.
right.
And
We
like I said, when they're saying, I'll hear people say, yes, the Bible's watered down and this and that. They don't even know what it's watered down from. Please go seek for yourself. I'm telling you, seek for yourself because, I've often said like this whole family court system, this corruption, what happens with a lot of corrupt police officers and this corruption that's everywhere. That is, and I know some people don't understand this, but that is the Jezebel spirit. And that
right,
is a hard thing to take down. But if we don't repent, the churches can't take it down because
that's
it has a legal ground right now. It has a legal
right,
ground. So, and that's the way we take it down, and through clean hands and a pure heart, and saying, Lord, I'm
right,
sorry. This is what your word says. I may not like it all. It may be harder. It may be a path of suffering versus being happy. But your happiness is temporary, and to be holy will eventually make you happy. It will, because we'll have peace and so on. So there's I'm going to get off my soapbox right now. But I feel really strong about this, and I can't wait to get these classes, and they're free, guys. So it's going to be March 31st will be the first one, and if somebody can put in maybe my website or something in the chat for everybody, if you want to join it, just put I want to join the class. It's free. It's 4 parts, and I'd really love to see a lot of people come in, because even if we collectively come together and we repent together, we're going to have some lessons and so on. I believe that it's going to change. The Lord's his hand's going to come down, because basically he says that if my people who are called by my name will humble ourselves and pray and seek his face and turn from our wicked ways, it says, then, not before, I will hear from heaven. I will hear, and I will heal your land. And Derek,
right.
our land needs healing, doesn't it?
Right, right, right. So we got to bring God back in, and we got to check spiritual leader. People running around with the nuns. Oh, you can't. The politics and religion don't mix. Now all of it mix. All of it mix. We need godly leaders. Like I said, this country was found on Christian Judeo values, so it mixed with our Constitution. And this is the kind of leaders we must get back to go back. Take this nation back to God where it belongs, and then our problems won't be as bad. Because we have a curse on this nation right now,
Yeah.
and you get deal with what is going on throughout our life and the lives of our children. I got a message a few minutes ago. For the daycare center sent me some images of pedophilia stuff on it, and it's a daycare center. So I just got this like about 10 minutes ago. I'm going to look into that. It's somebody that I do trust, and I'm going to take the project very because our daycare center has been infiltrated with pedophilia also. And he
Oh,
sent,
okay.
yeah, he sent me proof. It's sad. It's child trafficking going on every place. I recommend people stop breaking their neck and get rich if they're a mother and a dad. I recommend a mom stay at home and raise your children. Don't send them to the daycare. Homeschool your children. This is something that need to be done. Otherwise, you're turning your kids over to the wolves. That is
That's right.
These things are truth. There are no conspiracy theories. This is true. And I have evidence this is going on in daycare centers.
Well, and that's another issue that these family court judges do. If you want to send your children to public school, that should be your choice. If you want to homeschool your children or however, private school them, Catholic school them, Christian school them, whatever, it's your choice. The thing is what they try to do is they try to tell people that their children aren't socializing. And I laugh at that because I don't know anybody more social than me. Okay, my son has had socialization in every aspect and every creative possible way. Homeschool kids, there's groups and there's all kinds socialized way more than public school kids with this COVID stuff that went on. There was no comparison, but here's the difference. Who are they socializing with and among? Because sadly in school right now, and because of the family court and the juvenile, I hate this word, I hate it with a passion, but they label children juvenile delinquents, which is a label we have to rip off of them so they can have a positive and healthy future and be all God called them to be. They're creating juvenile delinquents, but they're putting children with abusers. When children are losing their identity, they're losing who they're supposed to be. It's all the enemy. And in public school, they're all going towards vaping and smoking pot and worse than that. Okay, so who are they socializing with? It's not about a social life. It's about an education. Okay, so and I'm not saying that they shouldn't socialize because they should learn how to interact with other people and how to represent themselves and how to interact properly. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but I'm saying that they should know how to you're supposed to raise them in a proper way so they know how to interact, so that they know that when there's an influencer that comes around and says, come on over here and let's smoke this, that child knows that that's wrong and they don't do these things. So how are you allowing your children to socialize? And a judge orders them into a public school out of a homeschool program that's accredited and that's actually teaching them how to learn versus what to learn. Big difference, right? So anyway, Derek, thank you so much for being here today, guys. We need to get both Derek Gibson and Diane Sayer, on these ballots. So please, here we have, Derek Gibson, and we need to get, I'm trying to figure out how to do this. We need to get Derek and we need to get Diane Sayer into office. Okay. This is very, 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 very important and very vital. So please, again, if you guys can make sure that that's in the comments and so on, so that everybody can get those votes in for Derek and get those votes in for Diane Sayer. So I can continue to work with them too. And anybody too. They're very personable. They're just human beings. They speak to you. They don't look down on you. Okay. They're not up here and you're down there. They're on the same level. They're human beings and they will listen to your concerns and whatever, and not like a politician. Okay. Derek is more like a statesman. They're just real people wanting to get the job done and have some influence within the system, so to speak, in order to be able to hear you and do what we need to do as human beings. Okay. One life to another. Love your neighbor and make sure that we have our rights protected and our children safe, because that's really ultimately the most important thing. So again, Derek, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you on today. So thank you. And I think did you freeze? Are you there? I think he got frozen. Oh, there he is. Okay. So thank you, Derek. Did you want to end with anything today or?
Yes, once again, I'm a candidate for New York State Governor, and I need all hands on deck. If you want a common sense governor, you want to govern yourself, I am your guy. I am your voice in Albany. I need help to get these signatures. Once again, take my email and my phone number, call, text, or send an email so I can send the forms over. Or you can go on the board election, just print the forms up yourself and put my information in and get people to sign. Let's get these 15,000 signatures. I can get on the ballot and we can make New York great and safe again for all.
Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you, Derek. All right. So now we have our special guest coming on right now, which is Megan Walsh. And I'm very much looking forward to having her on. Megan, sorry about that. Megan I've had her on once before. You can see on the screen right now, this is her dad. This is John Walsh. He's from Missing and Exploited Children. Most of you, I'm sure, know who he is. He and Megan, I've interviewed before. We've become friends. She's a wonderful, sweet human being. She's a wealth of knowledge, and I'm about to bring her on right now and introduce you to Megan with regards to her exposing her dad and the entire missing and exploited children. I don't know if you guys know, in my book, this is a long time ago, like compared to meeting Megan recently, in my book and in my story, my son and I were on missing and exploited. We were not missing, and they exploited us. And back in 2017, when Anthony McGinty, the judge, made this horrific ruling and endangered my child and put us through hell, we were on missing and exploited. And I remember thinking, like, I mean, thousands of people contacted missing and exploited saying, you're endangering them. They're not missing. The child's not missing. There's nothing wrong. You're endangering them. You know, there's a horrific background situation there, and it's all in my book. And I remember thinking, my goodness, they are trafficking. There's a lot more that meets the eye. Like, we believe a certain thing because we're trained, or we're told certain things over time, and we watch things and we see the news, and we believe certain things until you're put in the thick of it, and then you see that there is something else going on there. So without further ado, let me bring in my sister and friend, Megan Walsh.
Hi, Francesca.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
How are you, honey? How are you? So thank you for coming back and doing a second interview.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And I know you've been so busy. That's okay. I've done many interviews in my car.
I know. I said I'm getting up with Francesca at this level now. So we're here, and I'm glad it's all working with the technology. So thank you for having me again.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So we brought you back in today. We just had two candidates that we really were trying to endorse, because obviously we need more people in positions that can literally not snow people with, gimmicks and gadgets. And like Joe Biden right now, all his numbers are plummeting. Even his own party is realizing how messed up this was. Yeah. And suddenly he's taking on everything that our previous president was doing. Now so he can get his numbers back up again. The one they mocked so badly. Yeah. Okay. Interesting, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
For the very things that they mocked, and now we're in a bigger mess than ever. But yeah. So, but I just wanted to kind of bring you back, and we also have like a whole slideshow presentation that I have. I'm going to try to show it. I figure out how to do this, but I'm going to try to show it as you speak. As a matter of fact, I think, let me see. I just don't want to get kicked off of here. But I'll try to figure this out as you speak. But why don't you get everybody up to date as to what's happening with you, where you're at, and what happened with your dad, and then everybody knows the story with your brother Adam. But just in case there's viewers, maybe millennials on here, I don't know, that don't know the story, let's catch them up first. And I'm going to try to work on this screenshot show for you. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you, Francesca.
You're welcome.
And wonderful guests you just had on. It's so refreshing, I think, for many of us to hear people really speaking this out loud and really having these convictions and pursuing these positions for change. So I just wanted to comment there. Please, everyone, get out and get involved to support these two if you can. My background, is, again, I am the daughter of John Walsh, but more importantly to me, I am the younger sister of Adam Walsh, who was kidnapped in 1981. I should say disappeared from the Sears department store in Hollywood, Florida, in 1981. I was born not even a year after that. And from there, my father went on to start lobbying for legislation on Capitol Hill. And then was asked to be the host by Fox News Network of America's Most Wanted, which was a show that was the second longest running show on television when it was canceled years ago. My father has since gone on to have shows on CNN. He had his own talk show at one point, and now he's currently on the Discovery Channel with a show called In Pursuit with John Walsh, co-hosted by my brother Callahan. So that's kind of the background on my family. I am the oldest. As I said, I was born not even a year after my brother's disappearance. And I've grown up in this lifestyle. I was born into it. You know, any of this stuff that I'm speaking on today is things that are on, you know, the internet. Anyone can research these things, see the photos, you know, with myself and President Reagan as a small child, and different various times throughout my life of being around this type of environment within politics. You know, my father, and as well as media, the elite, traveling all over the world, and raised in this way. So that's kind of my background there. When you are raised in this, as we're all finding out, when you start questioning things or speaking up, you know, things can happen that aren't necessarily of good, you know. And I did start speaking up about the abuse that I've experienced throughout my life from at the hands of my parents, and the industries and different things that, you know, I was around and involved in because of that and their affiliations. As well as I started asking questions. And this is where, you know, I think it would really pertain to those viewing today and our audience, which I want to again thank everyone for joining us today and giving us your time and listening to what we have to say. I started looking into, especially when Epstein came out, I started asking questions of my father, and very innocent questions, actually. Maybe innocent's the wrong word, but, you know, straightforward questions and grounded questions as I was being asked and contacted by members of the public. I've been in the community. I'm a mother and a healer, and I practice natural medicine. I'll address the elephant in the room for those viewing. I do have basal cell carcinoma skin cancer on my face, and I'm treating it naturally with Rick Simpson oil, which is something that I highly suggest people look into for themselves for cancer treatment and wonderful approaches for many types of cancer. So I was, you know, asking questions. I was looking into these different aspects and his affiliations, as well as the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. I, you know, have always loved the National Center. I have done fundraisers for them. I have raised money and donated. I've asked to participate within the center as a career and a future. And I was, you know, always met with some very interesting reactions, very bizarre reactions, if you will. So back to the point, I started looking into that and asking questions as I was contacted by others. We hear a lot about the real purposes and the reality behind Amber Alerts within our country. I was approached by people asking about Laura Silsby, which connected to that through Alert Sense, and her presence in Haiti, as we all know, kidnapping or attempted kidnapping of 33 claimed orphans that were found to be not orphans at all, and then assisted by Hillary Clinton to recuse her or find her not guilty. And clean that up. So I had been asking about that because people had asked me. I would think at 30 something years old that my father would in most respects be proud of that and would address it from statements of the National Center or other people having, you know, other contexts of them having to address this issue. My point is I wasn't making things up. I wasn't asking, you know, bizarre things. These are affiliations, these are documents, and all of that. So I was looking into the center. I also started looking into my brother Adam Walsh's case, which this past July was 40 years ago to the day. And for that past 40 years, many people, especially in the area where it actually occurred, have had a very different take of the story. It's not a surprise. It's nationally known that there was a lot of controversy, a lot of mess ups in the case, a lot of discrepancies that I started digging into, and had also reached out to other researchers who had been doing this for a while. Also journalists. So there's a big presence there. And we also found out that there were witnesses from that day and that have actually had DCF used as retaliation towards them in the past for the things that they've known or spoken out about my father. I, of course, did not know that. And when I started asking questions, things started getting very bizarre. My parents, briefly, they assaulted me, not this past Thanksgiving, excuse me, but the Thanksgiving before that in front of my children, trying to frame me, say that I am crazy. Anytime I would confront them about what was going on, they would again say I was crazy and gaslight. So I started with the support of a therapist, an amazing woman, and others. I started distancing my children and I from my parents and asking them to get help for themselves. They've had a lot of trauma, and I love my parents very much. This is very heartbreaking. I would like to preface, this is very, very heartbreaking for all of us to go through. The system has absolutely not only failed myself and my children, but essentially John Walsh as well, and my parents and everyone involved by enabling this. So in April last year, after I had started putting up boundaries and asking them to get help and requiring that we saw them in public and not privately for our own safety and for the health of our family, until they were able to get help, then very bizarre things started happening again. And April 1st of last year, April Fool's Day, they used the local sheriff, the courts, and DCF to ambush us. First, I was pulled over with my children after leaving our family farm from teaching story time and music together classes. I mean, Francesca, I so appreciate what you were saying about the homeschooling and the this argument about socializing. My children did not experience any trauma from COVID. They barely even knew it was happening because of the way that we were living. We were social. We're in the community. We were hosting other families on our farm, breathing fresh air. They were taking their elderberry. They were homeschooling. Yes, was it the first year that we've ever homeschooled before? Absolutely. Was in the middle of a pandemic? Absolutely. Would we get better at it? Absolutely. So, for these things to...
and even with that though, like I'll give New York as an example, but with any state in the country, okay, if you're in compliance with the homeschooling rules and you're homeschooling your children, how dare any judge strip you of your child and give you to the other parent or to someone else or to CPS's foster care system or whatever? It makes zero logical sense at all.
Absolutely. Well, and that goes to, to the parental rights issue in our country, and the overreach and what we as a society have given them the power to do. I mean, we have to at some point, again, like you said, instead of being a dead horse, we need to man up and kind of admit what we've allowed as well in many respects in this entire issue and all of these that we're dealing with today. I truly believe. And I think that we'll see great difference and change in positive ways. There's such better ways, and we're blessed as a humanity to be realizing these days. So real quick, after the April 1st, April Fool's Day, 14 days later, they serve me an emergency TICO order. They hold me at my home, the police, with no warrants and, anything like that. They take my 3 children and give them to my parents, who are our abusers. I end up finding out that my parents have contacted the fathers and have used them to start this entire thing so they can hide behind and kind of grab their chest. I also found out about a week after they took my children from me, which the day after they took my children, they anonymously called animal control with the same complaint that I was holding my children the day before and my animals the day after hostage in my home, covered in feces or something like this. Meanwhile, on the reports, it shows that, the children were clean and fed and recently bathed. And then we ended up finding out that the animal control, of course, the next day. So this talks about, the psychological abuse, the coercion, the harassment that's enabled and allowed. And I'm not the only one to experience. This is not by any means, I'm speaking up about this because there are tens of thousands of cases that are 10 times, a million times worse than mine right now. And we need to expose this and we need to talk about it. So within 2 weeks, they had ambushed my children and I with police. They've ripped my children out from their home by strangers from their primary caregiver, which we know has huge even brain effects and damage that can occur from that one experience alone that we know statistically within children. And they did no investigation. No one has talked to me in this. They had a 4-day trial where I wasn't allowed to have witnesses and different aspects. It's still an active case, so I have to be careful about what I talk about. Please forgive me, viewers, if you're wanting more information and you feel like I'm skipping over or avoiding things. It's really because I do have to be careful. They have tried to gag me, my father has, and I don't think that a man that has nothing to hide hides. So,
and it's not just that, but a gag order, and I know they do them in a lot of states. A gag order is completely illegal. I mean, they're gagging everyone anyway now. They're gagging everyone. They're gagging you on Facebook. They're gagging your voice. They're gagging. But these are see, this is something that is a very serious issue. Okay, God created the world by the power of his mouth and his tongue and his voice and what he spoke into existence. So why would the enemy want to silence people and the truth is not allowed to be told? So, you know, Absolutely. Like a lot of us that are broadcasters are censored and we're not allowed to speak, or they pull your numbers and they hide you from the public view, or they take you off. And if you say something that's truth and it goes against their narrative and their agenda, they silence you. And exactly what you just said. Why would anybody want something not public unless they're doing something guilty? Okay.
Exactly. So, and I think my father doing this only gives validity to the questions that I was asking and the things that we have found out regarding my parents, history, their domestic issues, their lifestyles, things like that, which, are very concerning. Actually, I don't know how I wasn't taken as a child from these two. I hate to say, with all due respect. But that you're absolutely right. And prior to this happening to me, I was already, part of my work, I've been a religious scholar observing religion and the different aspects of it for 20 years. And I did leave fashion and music and the industry to be a healer and be a mother and really focus on new ways of living, lifestyle, and holistic approaches for specifically families and children. And through that, I was just able to really, see a perspective and really notice a lot of these issues, and therefore led me to become an advocate prior to, family court and CPS corruption to end this. And, that was already pre-existing prior to them taking my children. And then we have this occur, which is absolutely wild to me, because everything that we've heard happens in the system or in these cases has absolutely happened to me in my own situation. And since I've gotten out and spoken out and gotten more and more involved with different coalitions and different groups, I mean, the horror stories, people truly need to understand what is going on here. We have a huge situation in the world right now of narrative versus truth. And we have been fed a narrative, it seems, by John Walsh, by these people in power, as well as the truth about our child protective services. And that is the really unfortunate thing, in the place that we really, I feel, need to start as far as addressing the masses. And we've all spoken, we've all connected that have experienced it and within it. But it's really time, you hear this heartbreaking response from the masses that, oh, well, if they got their children taken, then it must have been for a reason. I wish that were true. There are real, situations of abuse, but we have a criminal justice system for that. This is stealing our children based on high incentives and high profits, with no incentives to return them and reunify and see through the success of families. And this system, that how we are approaching children and families, is absolutely twisted. It is not supportive. It is harassing. It tears you apart. My family has taken my home. I am currently homeless, taken my future career and revenue, support for my family, and ripped my heart out with taking my entire world of being my children. And now we have these families that are sitting, having to fight for decades, even some of us, as you well know. for our children while they're still living, existing, and we can't be with them. We need to really, in this system, put forth our tax dollars are paying for this as well. The viewers, your tax money is paying for this system that is stealing our children, harassing and breaking the parents and the children, drugging them up. It's a complete racket, and our tax money is what enables this. So we do have these bigger issues of Epstein, of elites and all of that. But again, please do not buy into the, we have to wait and see, or the judiciary. This is happening around you in your community every single day by the hour. You need to look into your commissions. You need to look into the funding. You need to look at the privatized sectors and aspects of this system. And that's how, really with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, that's just on a national level, expanded from our local situations. But how we change things on the local aspects. And the National Center, which also has the sister foundation, which is the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children, we have found just horrific connections, implications, audits, funding, private sector funding by extremely nefarious organizations, and big tech is very involved in this. Databases on our children. There's a company called Lifetouch that is now in the schools. I was called by a mother friend saying, "Oh my goodness, Megan, my son's school picture came home today. I thought it was so beautiful." And I read the fine print showing that Lifetouch is sent each of our children's photographs without our knowledge or consent, and they are entered into a Lifetouch database, which is one of the major private donors to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which is also based out of Israel, mind you. So yeah, I get chills. So, and there's a lot more. There's a lot more.
I had no idea about that. When you said Lifetouch just now, I realized you were talking about the school photos, and then I had no idea about that. But does people see just how infiltrated this is? So, like,
we have even found, Francesca, briefly on that, exactly. We have even found Adam Walsh requirements and forms for state, interstate, out of state, and international adoption. This is a monopoly that is on our children, that has created a pay-to-play atmosphere. And it's all under the guise of in the best interest. The hotline, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children hotline. I had heard so many rumors about people calling, giving reports, calling later back to check up on those reports, and being told that those reports were nowhere to be found, or that they never occurred. Then I have a personal friend call me about her daughter being approached online, who plays volleyball, and there was a creep approaching them online, as well as the coach and things, and they wanted to make a report. I told her to make a report because I had gone to my father. I was also telling him about these cases. That's a big thing. I was asking about my brother's case, the differences, who was hypnotizing my mom, what were these indiscrepancies within the filings themselves, what happened to these other witnesses. And then I was also being approached as his daughter by people across the country, as well as people intimate to myself, meaning friends and mom friends, that were telling me the exact same thing and verifying it. We called, we made the report, we called back weeks later, and they told me that they didn't have any reports. Now that's horrifying to me. And then when I look at it, the reports that come from the nefarious large private donors, Facebook being the largest donor at $1 million a year, those happen to be the reports from those type of companies that would go missing. Again, an overview of the National Center, for those that aren't aware, it is very much treated like a government agency. It brags about all of the reports, how they are in charge of every single child issue report in the country. I don't know how they handle that, possibly. And I also think that, you know, the funding, our taxpayer dollars, would be much more effective going to local efforts to find missing children, to remove children from trafficking situations, to investigate this, and to offer services to support families. All of that, I think we need to truly look on the state and local level for that, instead of giving all of our money and allowing this to occur without even oversight. So they accept roughly as a 501c3, they accept roughly 38 to 40 some odd $million a year of federal funding, our taxpayer money. And they also accumulate and take in an average of, I believe, 14 to 18 million. Yes, it was 18 million private sector donations, again being Facebook, Airbnb, TikTok, Pokemon, and one of the largest being L Brands, which is for people that aren't familiar with it, L Brands is Les Wexner. So we were hearing a lot about Les Wexner through the Epstein issues that everyone's finding out about. So, you know, to really be breaking these things down, again, this is not my job to investigate or to bring these people to justice, but this needs to be talked about. This needs to be looked at. And it is something that, understandably, as a society, we have not. You know, we trust these people to hold their oath, to hold these positions genuinely and highly, especially overseeing our children. And unfortunately, that is being very, very taken advantage of. And now enough of us know that if we don't do something about it now, I truly feel that we're complicit as a society, especially when what will change from this, and the positive and the huge things that could change out of this if we just address it, I just think are so important to keep, you know, fighting towards and speaking towards and making the efforts to change things towards this for our future.
Absolutely. Now, do you know anything, Megan, about are these like little like sister companies, or like what is the clearinghouse? Do you know anything about that? Like,
well, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children does call itself a clearinghouse.
All right, I want to read something, but I'm going to can I give you the floor for just a couple minutes just to continue to talk about this? And then I want to read something from my book regarding that. I just need about 3 minutes, if you don't mind, to take over for
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and that was another thing, not only, you know, actually, Francesca, you just reminded me, not only has Francesca experienced, you know, retaliation for her own speaking out, or you know, her and her child being used as missing exploited children, we have also had a lot of people come forward and say that they were put on the national registry through the National Center for Missing Exploited Children, that their children were not missing. You know, there was not an issue, and what that will do is raise statistics so that you can get more funding. Also, we've had the opposite happen, where if you go to the registry, you will see that infants and week-old babies are also listed as runaways, which I don't know. I have 3 children, and I don't know any of them that could have run away at several weeks old. And then we have one of the witnesses from the day of my brother's disappearance, who has come forward over the years. And the minute that the people involved with my father knew her name and who she was, DCF was used twice on her. And she also has someone stalking her from the town that my family lives in now. I think it's very interesting, speaking on the town that my family lives in now. Indian River County is known for corruption through the police force, involved in trafficking and, you know, very nefarious things with its big money for decades. So we also recently just had, where the last time some would have seen my father was on the Gabby Petito incident and murder. and he was on speaking out about a lot of things with mental illness and the Petitos. But why I bring that up is because the same month that they took my children, right before they took my children, Gabby Petito's father happened to move to my same small town with John Walsh before his daughter was taken, before anything. April, I believe she went, May, I think she disappeared like a month later, and they took my children in April. So he moves, they take my children, accusing me of untreated mental illness and psychological abuse, which if anyone out there, if you start to hear that and why that being a reason why someone's children were taken, you really need to now see that as a huge red flag. So, you know, we can't be buying this shaming and believing that somebody's crazy and all this kind of stuff at this point when we know it's not.
It's discrimination. It's disparaging. I say this all the time. It's degrading. I think that what happens, because I've done this for so many years now, I think that what happens too with people, and it's one of the things that I do, is gird them up through the process, that when these crazy accusations go flying, it's one thing if a parent is saying it about another parent, or mad at each other, or you're saying something maybe that's even true, which they ignore when there is real abuse. But when you have like an official person, let's say a judge, I had a judge recently yell across the room and put it in writing that the parent was paranoid. And you can't do that. Like, you cannot. There are 88
rights. This is so subjective. This is so subjective.
You can't do it. You're not allowed. You're not. It's completely unethical. It's against the canons, and you need to not do it. And you need to be held accountable for it in a very strong way. Okay, which they don't do. They don't do. The system is not ethical, and there's nobody to turn to make it ethical. And it's all on us. It's all on us.
It truly is. And that's been a terrifying thing, I will admit. You know, I thank God that I have been able to be so grounded in this and to have had the past experience and knowledge that I did have, you know, going into this. But you're absolutely right. And to really feel, especially with Sarah working with my father, you know, it just really exposes how this works. You know, these people work together every day. They have relationships. They have a certain air to them being in these positions, and it's absolutely you know, not aligned, and it needs to be stopped. It really does.
It needs to be completely abolished, and that's my goal.
It needs to be abolished. These people need to be arrested, just as you said.
Absolutely.
Quoted in our own things in the past. The National Center for Missing Exploited Children itself. What is it, quote, 86% of children trafficked are from our foster care system.
Absolutely, which is 100%.
Why is the National Center addressing this? What is it? Why is there so much effort into legislation that is getting more funding instead of campaigns exposing a system that's trafficking our children?
Absolutely. And, you know, like I've court watched numerous cases. I've even dealt with some judges who I would consider to be decent, and that's me saying a lot.
We cannot hear you.
I think Danny's trying to help us out here. Hi, Danny.
I'm not sure what's going on, but we cannot hear you on this end.
Danny, love you. Thank you.
Oh, you can't hear me, Danny? You can't hear me? Can you hear me?
I hear Megan completely. Francesca is silent.
I'll get out and come back in.
Comes in very late. About 10% of what she's saying do we hear.
Okay, I'll get out and come back in. I'm going to get out and come back in because I want to read.
CPS angel. Yeah, do that. Do that, Francesca. Danny is our CPS angel. He's amazing. God bless you, Danny. Thanks, bud. Sorry, we're looking at chat here. Yeah, they're saying the audio is breaking up. Mine was actually when I was trying to sign in. Thanks, guys, for hanging in there with us. You know, we'll start putting out some more, and we just wanted to get on and kind of do an overview. And how's that? Try now.
Hey, I'm talking. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yay! Here we go. What I want to do is real briefly. I'm not going to do a long bit, but there's a portion in my book that now you got to remember this came out in 2018. Wait till you see the second book, you're going to be really blown away. But it's a portion of my book. It's a chapter called, I don't know if you can see it, but it's called Retaliation. Okay, and I know this is going to ring home, so let me read this. It says missing. That's the title. Missing. This is when me and my son were missing, but we weren't missing.
So sorry.
We weren't missing. I had a court date, for heaven's sake, that I put in place. Where was I missing? I thought we would be protected by our confidential address. Now, the confidential address, let me just tell you what that is, if anybody doesn't know, because I'm dealing with several other situations like this with other clients and so on. The ACP address, okay? Address Confidentiality Program. It is a federally protected program. You can only get this type of this is not the one that you walk into a family court and you fill out a thing and say, I want my address confidential. This is because you have been a victim for real. So if the state is saying you're a victim for real, then they're arguing with themselves. At this point, they're arguing with themselves. They're arguing with themselves. They're actually telling themselves that they're wrong and the decisions that they've made are wrong. And we can't argue with that all the time. But this is how insane and convoluted and crazy it is. Okay. So the ACP address, I just had a woman a judge in Idaho, I think it was. Anyway, I try to keep track. The judge removed her from the ACP and made her tell her abuser, which McGinty tried to do the same thing with me and I wouldn't speak, where her address was. So basically this man has been estranged for a couple of years. And then the child's now 3. Mom's had the child 25/8, not 24/7, 25/8 from the womb to the earth, and then has been everything to this child. And now all of a sudden, dad comes out of the woodwork, and 2 years later, he's boo-hooing to the world. He's doing interviews. I sit there, I watch the court. I know what happened. Okay, they're all horrible, but this was really horrible on steroids.
Mine's 10 years later. It's a wild thing, yeah.
And at 3 now, he gave sole custody to the father, who wasn't around for 2 years. He didn't even know what dates he saw the child. He didn't even know anything. I mean, I see these people who don't know the age of their own children. I mean, these things are bizarre. But anyway, he made her give up the ACP address.
I said not to mention, when you bring that up, the amount of children that go missing within the system that are never.
We know that they're in the millions, of course, and it's all through the system. And I do want to say, I see a lot of the comments coming on. I know we're on several platforms right now. I will be putting in there, it's punished, the number 4 being a parent. If anybody needs help, punished for being a parent, go to the Book a Talk section. Okay? So let me read. I thought we would be protected by our confidential address. So again, it was an ACP. And orders of protection. Mind you, I think at that time when the book was written, I think I had 9 in a row. My child was 8. Hello. So again, the state must be wrong. Either I'm wrong or the state is wrong. The state's lying or the mother's lying, right? In May of 2016, Judge McGinty revoked the order of protection for my son that I had spent hours obtaining in another court. My PTSD shot through the roof. At this time, I had no attorney. I was alone in the court. I didn't know what I know now either, okay? But I knew a lot. You're still in shock, right? I asked the judge, how can you do this? Didn't you see the evidence? I mean, I brought in a stack. He replied, it's my court. I'm the judge. Imagine this judge got to stay on my case until October of 2020 and do this to me again after I wrote this book about him.
That's right.
And talked on numerous platforms all over the world, including before Congress, including before the New York State Assembly. And they still didn't remove him from my case, and he refused to recuse. He refused. And you just look at these things and you're thinking, like, if this is not a retaliatory action, if this is not just unethical, let's just pretend it's not even retaliation. Let's just talk about the ethics behind it, the class behind it, the respect, the accountability, things we had years ago just as a nation. We are not seeing that now. We're not seeing that, right?
Well, and it's crazy to me that, this is probably one of the most handed to us blatant issues that we could actually all do something about. And I find that I like to kind of present the fact that what does that say about our level as the humanity or the depravity that we're at if we are shaming or brushing off or even laughing at the fact that this happens and giving ourselves that, as masses or people that haven't experienced it or don't understand this yet, that we can actually even do when we hear about it. I mean, if I were to hear about these things not knowing, I would at least look into it and be very enraged. that I was even participating in, not knowing. So.
I mean, and I'm not. This is horrible that this has happened to you and your family and what's going on right now. And I'm praying for you daily. Like I pray for everybody that comes my way. But like, you know, I think of it like you of all people, like, were they know they have no shame. It's like they have no, there's nothing left of these people in general, because like I said, there's no ethics, there's no class, there's no respect. They don't care who sees what they're doing. It's gotten so blatant. I mean, didn't anybody think that this would get out to the public and the public would see what they're doing to you and your children?
No,
I mean,
because
you're
they do it in
articulate.
kangaroo, as you know, they do it in kangaroo courts. They, you know, I mean, yeah, and they've been allowed to do it. The biggest thing I think out of that point, exactly, Francesca, is the lack of oversight. As I was saying, the National Center for Missing Exploited Children is a 501c3, actually, which means that they are exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. I mean, if we and also people are just like the National Center with presenting a government entity, which is crime against humanity. That is within the definition. So is CPS. They are private. I mean, in Florida,
right. I mean, well, CPS, family court, you know, they all have Dun and Bradstreet numbers. The courts don't want to hear this. They are private for profit businesses that are running on federal funding. Think about all of the money that they're getting from everywhere, tax dollars, federal funding, private for profit. Huh? Yeah.
Much more money now than when it was state run. I mean,
much more money now. Much more money now.
Salaries. Yeah.
That's why I say it's a multi-quadrillion dollar, you know, organization.
And it's the only system that isn't audited. I mean, this is the system that should have absolute transparency, absolute supervision, absolute reporting, absolute auditing, and they have severe, almost sovereign immunity, as you know.
Yeah.
And no.
Yeah. Oh, can you see me and hear me?
I cannot see you. There.
Okay. There we go. Well, let me go ahead and read this. And I said here at the time I had no attorney, and I'm not saying that you should have one. Okay, that's my point is that I didn't, and so we don't have assistants of counsel yet. They still rip you into millions of pieces and do most of what they do. Okay, because we know that most of the attorneys, most high percentage, pushing 100% of the attorneys are not ethical, are not going to do their job, are truly not going to fight for you. They're not going to put their nose out for you. They're not going to do the right thing. Even if they want to, they're not going to. So we know that that's a problem. And 99%
they take an oath to the bar, not to the client. They take an oath People need to realize
to
that.
The bar, and I give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe they went through college, they want to be an attorney, they were all, you know, glory-eyed into that, and they thought they were doing the right thing. Okay, but once they're in, I mean, come on now, come on.
Exactly. So that would go for all the people, you know, the DCF workers, the judges, everything. None of us are saying that there aren't good people out there, but this is a much larger issue.
Right. But then when do you draw the line on being a good person? Because obviously, if you know something's corrupt, it's like when I look at the police. You know, it's like once you're getting that paycheck, and you know, and unless they're threatening to kill you, I can understand that. But once you're starting to see what you're doing, and you're participating in hurting another life somehow, some way, let alone in the extremes that they're hurting lives, and especially children, how do you continue to work in that business? Like, go find something else to do.
Yeah. And now they're psychics as well. You know, now they're psychics as well. It's about, these are potential adverse. And this is what they said to mine. The children are amazing. They're well adjusted. They need to be with their mother. But there's a potential for adverse events to happen in the future that could affect them later down the line. I said, yes, you're absolutely right. This is the adverse event that you are putting in their lives that will affect them down the line. And that's what's happening to our children within the system as well. They're being taken, put in foster care, drugged up. That's also all the racket money. And then it's the percentages of children out of foster care also that go into the prison system and create that generational, and that system profit and trafficking and cheaply. Anyways.
That's right. I don't know if Danny, if you're still watching, I'm sure you probably are. I just sent you a link to Megan's. I see when I point, it points that way. So I got to do this. Megan's. We have a screen share that we wanted to share today, and I don't know how to do it. So maybe you can kind of flip through that while she's even talking. If you can tell me how to do that.
I keep interrupting your.
Oh, no, that's okay. No, and the reason I want to read this is because it's about missing and exploited. So I said, I asked the judge, how can you do this? Didn't you see the evidence? He replied, it's my court. I'm the judge. I was just like, could you imagine? That was my first time in his court to hear it's my court. I'm the judge. Oh my God. I mean, I was raised to have respect to authority. I was raised to like say, excuse me. And, you know, I was raised to open a door for somebody. I was, you know, and I'm sitting here going, it's my court. I'm the judge. I was blown away. I kept protecting my bear. I said, that was that. I am a mother and I will protect my child. What else is a mother to do? When you attack my child, you are crossing God-given lines. I continued helping him recover and heal. We continued to travel as I homeschooled him with the court's complete knowledge. So this was on the court record. It was agreed. It wasn't in an order. It was just not ordered against to not homeschool and to not, etc., travel or what have you. Because I think about that too with the traveling aspect. I see all these parents that they can't leave the state. Well, I'm sorry. When did we graduate high school, college, get our masters, get whatever we got in life, to be told that we're on probation or parole not to leave the state? We're free people. Like, hello? Like, this makes no sense to me. No sense.
Depriving the children of life experiences, learning.
What if you don't want to be poor your whole life and become nothing? What if you want houses in different states? Is that so outrageous to want those things in life? From June to October of 2016, I was working with the district attorney, compiling evidence against this judge. Imagine he's still there in 2022. Isn't that sad? In December, I heard a rumor that there was a warrant for my arrest. I couldn't believe it was true. I'm like, I haven't even got a traffic ticket in my life. I never stole a pack of gum in my life.
Meaning there, I was arrested the day before my children's trial by, under my father's. Yeah.
But that's just the whole thing, Megan. Yeah. Like, here we are, me and you on here talking about this, but everybody that's watching has been through this too. And we're all like stunned people, like who would have ever thought this, The DA kept saying, we will push it back. Say it again. Oh, sorry.
I said I would have never in a million years.
No. The DA kept saying, now this is the district attorney, kept saying, we will push it back. Don't worry. Get a lawyer, get a lawyer, get a lawyer. The warrant kept being pushed back and pushed back and pushed back at the DA's office because he thought his exact words were, this is insane. I spent time on the phone with the chief investigator and we tried to figure this out. I still wasn't served with any paperwork and I still wasn't looking at an order. And my son and I kept living our lives. I secured a law firm at the advice of the DA. We were working together to find a solution. They were pointing out all the holes, all the retaliation, all the abuse, everything. The wheels were turning slowly. Then in late December, we called him Rick, reported us missing to Missing Persons Clearinghouse in New York. Okay? Look at her face. This clearinghouse was formed to help locate people who are vulnerable or at risk, right? Missing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. He began going all over town, posting flyers. Mind you, he had no driver's license, but he was driving around doing this because of all the DWIs. But anyway, posting flyers like that. He's the victim now. Like, talk about the reversed world that we live in. Vulnerable at risk. He began going all over town, posting flyers with pictures of us. Rick was driving around without a license, putting signs up. I talked to so many people. They were like, they ripped him down and they took him down and they were like, this is insane. And they knew who we were. So they were like, this is crazy. He was asking for information about our whereabouts. Mind you, I had protection orders against this person. And the court's going to help him. Help him. And then you wonder why you get PTSD on steroids. He was implying that the boy was in danger. The boy was in danger, implying from his custodial parent, myself. Hundreds of people called the Missing Persons Clearinghouse saying that we were not missing, but we were victims of domestic violence. They told them that the boy was not in danger from his own mother. Everyone in my family and community was running around, ripping the signs down. They were pissed off and angry, tired of seeing what we see in this country. The big kicker is that I talked to the court secretary on the very day the missing persons was filed. My retained counsel. So why doesn't people say, hold on, stop a minute, this is going over the top? So I'm not going to read anymore. It's in my book. But the point is that this is all insane. And as an advocate, and I know you've been advocating, we go around and we buffer and we communicate and we bring that bridge of communication between this moronic court system and this moronic CPS, whatever, and these people and these false allegations and this insanity when they're ignoring real criminal activity, when they're ignoring real abuse, and they're pointing at the victims. Why? Because it's money. They can make money off of it.
It's absolute money. And, you know, to even speak to that within Florida itself, connected to my father, is, you know, a lot of people need to also understand that, you know, my father, again, puts out these narratives, best interest of children, it's all of this, but then eventually and ultimately what he receives from that and the people around him is, you know, things like facial recognition, these databases, very unconstitutional aspects of our society that many of us have been fundamentally putting off and fighting against for the history of our country, you know. And so here, you know, we have third-party traffic viewing and different things like that. The Adam Walsh Act has been arguably very unconstitutional to many people. You know, and my point here is that we need to understand that this has been in the guise of our protection and everything, and it's never questioned because, you know, you hear, oh, his son was murdered, or you hear this, you know, organization is for children and they're doing so much. I mean, you get these narratives put in your face that then you don't question the rest of it. And that's understandable to a point in our past, but now that we're really realizing these things and we as a humanity have been given this, you know, discernment to this next level of seeing within this, if you will, you know, we have a huge responsibility now to all be speaking about this. You know, I tell everyone to get involved locally, have your friends over. I mean, you guys know who's of the same kind of, you know, perspectives as you are. And also, and more specifically, I love meeting people who don't understand and don't believe that this is a reality, because I then in truth, with grace, can inform them. And, you know, I really want people to be speaking out amongst their communities, amongst their peer groups, amongst their churches, amongst their school groups, you know, to really spread the word about this. You know, yes, it's been presented very horrifically. We have the, you know, world trafficking, the international trafficking, sex trafficking. Yes, but we can't do anything about that. We will not be able to affect that until we address our local issues with each and every one of us looking around us. Now think about how many numbers that creates and how then we kind of just null and void out distance. We, you know, all of that does not become a factor anymore. We have to get to the truth and know that we do have the power. We need the voice of the people. We are parents that are fighting for our children while we're trying to speak out, which then endangers our lives and our children's. And we need the masses that are so strong and amazing to really just be able to see, aside from the horrific stuff that I was talking about in that level, we really need to ground this and communicate in a way, especially to those who want to doubt it. I mean, I love to see somebody brush it off, because that's my opportunity, you know, to really say, well, but are you aware of this? Are you aware of that? And you know, like your last guest, Derek, actually commented on, which I love his approach. You know, we are being handed an issue that will fundamentally change society, and in that also unite society. This is not a partisan issue. This is not a race issue. There is nothing dividing this besides good versus evil, I will say. I mean, it's literally being presented to us in that manner.
100%. I mean, 200% on that. Absolutely. It is good versus evil versus, you know, it is. It absolutely is. I mean, you know, there's no other way to put it. It absolutely is. And we have to, I don't know if you got to hear earlier on, because I know you were at appointment prior, but I was saying that I'm going to be starting this class March 31st. It's free for anybody who wants to join. And it's biblically based, and I would like to see people lead back to what the actual word says, so we can repent together corporately, to bring the favor of God back to protect everyone from this. Because see, this is a manifestation of sin, basically. Okay, because like I've said it over and over, like we can have all the knowledge in the world, apply everything with our fists up and go after them and do everything that we're doing. But until we can dislodge the spiritual evil part of it, and the way you do this through repentance, humility and repentance, then God can come in and give us that favor and give us that protection. So we can get so far, but without the Lord, we cannot, so
Absolutely.
and it is good.
That was a big thing that I was actually doing, as a trained healer and specializing in trauma and childhood, things like that. We have contracts, we have courts, we have generational curses. And, these generational curses are in many ways being cut these days and being corrected. But there's also a fight to keep that, and
Right.
to really disturb that. So we really need to be looking at, and by that generational curse, I mean these things that have manifested within our society and breaking that down.
That's right. Now, if you look right here, there's a lot of comments that I'm posting. I learned how to do that now. Sandra's asking how to contact me privately, and I put the website below if you'd like to, if you need help. So I do a lot of different things. Wait, say it again.
I said, thank you for that. I've been hiding on a farm and being a mom and trying to be hands-on in the community. So I will say to you about contacting me privately. I am on Twitter. I recently got on Twitter, so you can find me.
I wish I could figure out how to do your Twitter account on here. But if you say it, people can put it in comments for us. Okay, go ahead.
You can find me at Megan Walsh _. That's MEGHANWALSH _. You can find me there. You can leave a comment if you'd like to send me a private message. Then I'll see that and I'll enable it so you can send me a private message. Also, my email is SaveMegan'sChildren @protonmail.com. So SAVE Megan's MEGHANS plural children @proton PROTON mail.com. You can directly email me there. And if you feel moved to donate or support what I am doing, and as well as my children, I have had amazing people and angels set up a Give Send Go for me. Again, that's Give Send Go with / Megan Walsh. And people have been amazing, and they have kept me floating, and being able to do this fight for about, I would say, 9 or 10 months now, which is impossible. I could not do it without the donations. This has been a daily harassment, fight, trauma, and, I just will not stop speaking about it, Francesca. We've got a lot of work to do, and I have faith in people. I really do, in the voice of the people. I really want to come forward. We're so blessed to have better ways now. This, instead of, let's start bringing families together instead of breaking them apart.
Absolutely. And let's protect them. So also, if anybody needs my help, just to let you know, I do a variety of things. It starts out with an intake, a consultation where you basically are telling me your story, and I'm looking for the red flags and the violations and this and that. I do this nationwide. I do not go outside of the country because I cannot. I can, but I just cannot. I don't have the resources. Okay. But what you would do, I do have a Canada chapter. So I have people there that are in charge, and they do what I do there. But with regards to anything within the United States, you would go to that link below that you see that says punishedforbeingaaparent.com, and just go to Book a Talk and fill it out, and it starts there. And then from there, if I can take your case, because what happens is I do have other assistants that help me, and they work very closely with people as well. And they're really well. They're really good. But
they're amazing. They're amazing. You have an amazing team, Francesca.
Thank you. You
deserve it.
We pray for everybody. Okay. Everybody prays for everybody. Along with that, there's, like, without saying people's names, but they have a lot of good expertise behind them too. But what I do is I court observe. Sometimes more of us are in there, depending on if we can do that. We do all kinds of things that I really won't discuss much on here. But we do a lot of things that are not what you'd expect, and we're having great success.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you got to remember when we get these cases, and on my website it says I forget how I put it, but like basically we succeed in convoluted cases because everything's convoluted. The cases are out to lunch. I always have a joke, out to lunch without a restaurant. They're bad when we get them. I mean, they're bad when we get them. They're bad. Obviously, if your children have been taken, they're bad. You know, or whatever they've done to you, however way they've trapped you. We work at untrapping you, basically. So someone asked you, Megan, if you could repeat your email, please, slowly.
Absolutely. It's Save Megan's Children. So it's SAVE, Save Megan's, MEGHANS, Children, at Proton, PROTON, mail.com.
Okay. And I'm reading all of these, like, I can't see everybody's. I have YouTube up on one. We've got CPS News Network up. We've got Punish for Protecting News up, which I've seldom used. Now I'm using it as we're splitting this. But I'm reading a lot of your comments. I'll go back and read the YouTube ones and so on and so forth as best as I can. Normally, I've got a description where you can like do book a talk, where you can purchase the book. But the book is on Amazon. It's sold in a lot of places too, but that's probably the best way to get it. Not really plugging Amazon, but it is what it is, you know. But thank you, Matt Doyle. That's very sweet. I'll put that up there. That was very nice of Matt. You know,
He's right.
Tammy, you know, all these people, Glenn, you know, Glenn, I got to find your comment, but Glenn, I know Glenn, and I also saw Michelina's comment. Where is it that you said? Oh, here it is. Look at this comment. What, this is just a father. This is a man speaking. He said the CPS mainly attacks mothers. And let me talk about that a little bit, because I feel that family court does too. There is a false narrative out there. And don't get me wrong, this is not against any fathers that are out there. No. All you good dads out there that don't, just stay out of family court. Like, stay out, okay? Come to us and let's mediate together and work with the families. Like, stay out. But if you're in and you're trapped in there, do not believe the narrative that this is an anti-father thing, because it's not true. It is a pro-father who's an abuser narrative, okay? That's what it is. I've done this way too long. I've seen it from every single angle. You're not going to tell me different. And if you spend a couple of days with me, I will prove it to you, okay? It is an anti-mother angle. And it is just, and you know, I'm not saying that fatherless homes are a good thing. Of course I wouldn't. I'm a Christian, for heaven's sake. My father is God. He's a father. Okay. I don't have.
And it's part of the system. That's what people don't understand. Right. Is that first, which my father was actually huge in helping perpetuate the demonizing of men. And, you know, don't have a male babysitter. Men are the most dangerous because a pit bull would bite you over a golden retriever. That's his analogy. And they did this. Sorry, real quick. This is a huge topic. Like, they totally incentivize men leaving the home and being out of the home. Then they bring in neo-feminism and promote women to be working and independent and all of this. So now we're out of the home, and now we've given our children to the system with daycare and doing the slave race mentality over and over again every day to go, please, we hope we can keep the roof. We hope we can afford the childcare for our job. And, you know, it's a whole systemic thing to ultimately get the children under their control and their indoctrination.
That's right. That's right. And I was talking about, though, to bounce back off of what Glenn was saying, like, do you understand how bad it would be a motherless home? A motherless home. If you go to the Women's Coalition, there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of mothers. Okay. And one right after the other. They're not heroin addicts. These are like women like us, good, classy, drug, alcohol, non-users, you know, non-abusive, just normal people without their children, for no reason at all, other than fleeing abuse or saying that the person's an abuser. And what you have to laugh at is that, and don't get me wrong, false allegations, I'm going to fight you. If you're a mother and you're falsely accusing a father, I'm not going to support you, of course, okay? But I do believe the real statistics that say less than 6% of women lie about abuse. I do believe that. And I will not, I will take you at your word, because I would not want to be your abuser too, okay? Let's face it. And I'm not saying that men can't get abused, because they do, okay? But I want to know how a 20-pound woman is going to beat up a 500-pound man. Like, that's not going to happen. Okay. They can probably mentally do something to you, but, and I'm not saying that it doesn't, like, there's a whole Johnny Depp thing, but there's more that meets the eye with that story too. There's more that meets the eye with that story too. Okay, and I like Johnny Depp's acting abilities, but there's more than happened there than the narrative they're spinning.
Johnny Depp has been accused of being involved in trafficking.
Well, and let's face it, okay? When the person that, even Brad Pitt, when they started accusing them of abuse was when they were heavily drugging and drinking. It changes your personality, and when you're not sober and you're aggressive and you're abusive, hello, do you want that person around children safely? So let's get real, okay? Let's stop with this nonsense, okay? You're not going to pull the wool over my eyes. When I first, like, I've had National Coalition for Family Court and CPS Reform when I started out. In 2016, 2017, I started establishing P4P. In 2018, it became a nonprofit 501c4. I was fooled initially by a lot of people that came at me like vultures, okay? That wanted my help, that wanted to join, all this stuff. And I learned within that year or two who's who in the zoo, okay? And that's why I even tell Megan, be careful who comes at you. If you want to, I'll be happy to tell you and to vet you, because you don't have to go through what I went through. Save you that problem. Okay, you got enough to deal with. Save you that problem. Save anybody out there that problem, because I am very
and they are out there. That's valid.
Well, and I'm very discerning. I see, when you have I don't want to say we obviously, if without the Lord we don't have a good heart, but when we have a good heart and we love people and we care about them and we want to protect children, you know, we kind of like don't want to see some of the bad in people, right? And that kind of thing. But like, I become even more discerning now, very strongly. I can see a narcissist from 10 miles away now, male or female. Okay. But you know, I really want to say that I really believe I've gotten to a point where I'm very good at now choosing who I'm going to help and who I'm not going to help. Okay. So,
amen.
It's just like that. But did you want to add anything else? Unfortunately, we can't add the screen sharing thing. I was hoping we could. I was hoping Danny could do it. I really kind of want to show some of that stuff, but I have the Dropbox and I'm just not able to do it. So we could do that at another point. But is there anything else that you wanted to kind of share with the audience today?
I think we covered a lot. I really encourage people, you know, you mentioned court watching. I think that's another great way that you as an individual and a citizen, without needing a group or you know, somebody else telling you, you can look up the department's Zoom links and different things to be able to court watch and just see for yourself what it's like. I know there's huge groups of people that court watch. I myself have. I've even been, as you know, Francesca, kicked out of, you know, against the law, kicked out of the public viewings and things like that. So, you know, again, I just really encourage people to start, you know, talking amongst each other, especially people you think that have no idea about this, in grace and truth, and start looking in your community. Again, the funding, follow the money is a real thing. Look at the private contracting, even the foster homes in your town. Look at look for the contracts with pharmaceutical companies or pharmacies that they have. You guys, this is really, really bad. And, you know, as we're seeing in my case, Florida being a horrific state for this, we're seeing many of us that are in it know that we will contact the district attorney, the AIG, all the governor even, and nothing will be done. So you need to realize that we're silent for a reason. And we need to, again, be holding them accountable, and we need the people to come together. We need to each expose our local areas, and if we're all doing that, that's how we can not easily, but more effectively and in a lot more time, a lot more turnover, rapid turnover, to actually be able to do something about this, as well as people realize what's going on. You know, look at your county commissioners, look at your police departments, anything that's privatized, especially, look into it and see their affiliations and where they're getting and start calling that out or start addressing it and talking about within your community, because I guarantee you will not be able to be quiet when you see that. And truly, you know, I can't thank you enough, Francesca, for the work that you're doing. They're literally stealing our children. CPS and family court has the lowest burden of proof to take children.
Family court
In criminal court, highest burden, I believe personally that we should flip that. I think when we're dealing with our children, we should have the absolute and more highest burden of proof, and that should be on the people doing it and taking salaries from it. I also encourage people to look into Biden and the Clintons with the different acts and laws that they passed while Biden was senator and Clinton was president, and how that has affected what Title IV funding goes to, and how that works in your state and your local area. So just really educating yourself and informing others around you if you really feel passionate about it. And again, I thank everyone that has come here and given us their time and their ear, especially in the world we live in today. So I humbly thank everyone for that, and say God bless, and I look forward to being in this fight until we see it through. So thank you so much, Francesca. We're lucky to have angels like
this nice lady right here who talked. I actually put some of her comments up because she basically what she was saying is that she had been in jugs in the past and she's completely clean now, and you're somebody I would absolutely help and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But she put your Save Megan.
Yes, that's it.
There. So thank you very much for
Tatiana. That. And that's a great last point. I keep going off on this, but that's a great last point. Our money in these issues, these are adult issues. These are not children do not have issues like this. There's not delinquents. This is residual from us as adults. And we truly need to be providing services. Poverty is not a given to neglect or abuse. Just because you are in poverty does not mean and dictates there will be abuse or neglect. And we're also using that. So what we need to really be doing is changing this funding and really supporting parents that are in poverty for whatever reason, addicted to substance, in a domestic situation. And that's how we help people, how we are effective, and how we keep the family together, whatever that looks like, but we keep the children in their primary home. When you kill the mother off, you ultimately kill the child. That's just the bottom line.
And the enemy is after the family anyway. That's why the divorce rate is what it is. And this is some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about in the classes.
And if you don't believe in God at all, this still should give you conviction and disgust with it to actually move you once you realize.
Well, again, I just want to say, Megan, thank you so much. I mean, Megan, like I said before I brought her out, she is a wealth of knowledge and experience as well, and you're a very bright woman, and really I'm encouraged by you. I know you're going through a tough time. I've been there. That we support you, and I know there's countless people out here that are supporting you as well. God's using you, and He uses us through suffering. Unfortunately, it's not. We don't like it. We don't like His ways are higher.
Amen. That's how it's not easy. People like you and the supporters, the viewers here, truly. Again, the support I've gotten and on the Gibson Go, messages and support on Twitter, and everything has just been a true blessing through all of it. Despite getting choked up.
Well, I mean, and that's part of that's part of what we do as advocates too. It's like I was saying, right now it's like giving that leg up, girding the people up, girding them up, when I have somebody saying I can't do another minute, I've been there, and that we're gonna go, no, you're gonna go another minute, now you're gonna go another hour, and now your children are home.
And I can attest that your staff and the people you have helping are absolutely of that.
I've been really careful in selecting that staff, and I prayed for 1 year. One of the people that called you yesterday literally prayed for 1 year to bring her in. Okay, like she wanted to come in, but I was like,
I believe it.
I had to hear from the Lord the timing. I've been very, very, very careful. And another one I think you might have spoke to going back. No, maybe not. No, you haven't yet. Her too. Like, it's just being very diligent and who is a part of what we're doing, because it's like a marriage. You don't want to make covenant with anybody unless it's the right thing to do.
I've waited, and I've had a lot of amazing people in this, a lot of people with good hearts and intentions, some not. And I can't thank you. And I've told you this many times since we started, being put in contact. I just feel like, we were meant to be put in this together. We come from a very grounded and convicted space for good towards this and for change. And I do feel blessed. I have to take a second to attribute that to you and to God. And, just these divine things that we get to be seeing playing out these days, So.
Oh, and sometimes we have to go, oh, wait, God, I'm sorry. I let go. I give it to you because I forgot. I'm not really the one doing this,
Yeah.
It's not, oh, that's right. And it's lift that burden,
And he loves
but,
when we have to keep realizing that, by the way. So,
yeah. But remember, the gates of hell shall not prevail against the church. So we win in the end. Amen.
Amen.
Well, Megan, thank you so much. God bless you, and I'm so glad you came back on. And we'll do more. We'll give you guys, more of the story. I have more families that I'm going to be, doing more broadcasting too. Again, thank you so much for Danny, because honestly, the censorship that I have on Facebook. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Danny has been such a warrior for me and for this cause. I mean, for this cause much longer prior to me coming into it. But, from day one, I didn't even know him yet. And he has been there supporting this and really has not flinched once. And so it's been absolutely amazing. He's definitely a warrior.
Okay, and if you see this one right here, she sent you an email. Oh, it just keeps cutting off, but she sent you an email.
Oh, great.
Keep your eye out for her. And thank you, Lena, for your prayers. Thank you so much. I'm reading as much as I can.
I'm trying to, guys.
Here's a shout out for Danny. Let's get that up there. Danny,
yes, Danny is a true patriot.
Yes,
He's
great man. Hi, Cheryl. It's nice to see you. That's a beautiful lady right there.
Cheryl, God bless you.
So God bless you all. Thank you for watching. It's been a very long live today, but we had a lot of very amazing people on today. U.S. Senator to be Diane Sayer. Please, guys, get your votes out. Get your votes out. Oh, look, here's Danny, and we love you, Danny. and
my dad's not a fan of Danny, by the way.
Who's not? Oh no, he's not gonna like me either.
So it's fine.
Hey, listen, change his ways, and we can all love each other. I mean, we love you anyway.
I pray
we love
for my
you anyway, right?
I pray for my parents daily. I hope.
Amen. Amen. Oh, there's my girl too. She's saying bless you.
This is so cool, you guys.
Just to let you guys, and also, I'm sorry, another shout out to Derek Gibson. Like, get those votes in, guys. We need these people, and then I can work closely with them. So that's a good thing. And Megan.
Yeah, me too. We're not stopping this. We gotta get my kids back so I can move on to actually fight. So not. But, improve and do that. I hate when people say that. We're not fighting. We don't have to fight. We have truth, grace, and for justice, you guys. So, anyways, Francesca, I love you.
Amen. Love you too, Megan. Thank you for being on, and keep going. You're all is well. All will be well.
I've got you. So we got this, and we've got God. So
yes.
So thank you again.
Amen. Kimpy, we're going to leave it with her last statement, because this ends it perfect. She said, and yes, and unless the Lord is involved, we labor in vain. That's Amen. It right there. That's the message today. That's the message today. All right, guys. God bless you all. Have a good one. Bye-bye.